Welcome to Non Norse Podcast, episode 23, the home of sports talk for everyone. I'm David.
I'm Jason.
Welcome aboard. So, we decided to try something different tonight, whatever day it is, of events in sports, basically what happened today in sports. And this one was actually interesting that we found. In 1997, the NBA draft was Wake Forest power forward Tim Duncan was first overall for the San Antonio Spurs.
Right.
Now, fast track 2 years later, same day, San Antonio win their first NBA title. Tim Duncan is the MVP.
I would say that's a first pick that duly paid off. Tim Duncan had a fantastic career. It's crazy to think that there are guys who are still playing who were drafted around the same time, if not a little later. And he's actually been coaching as an assistant coach for the Spurs. So keep in mind, he played for the Spurs from 1997 to 2016, 2019, 2020. He's been a coach for the Spurs. So his entire professional career has been with one team. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, especially playing and coaching, basically.
Five-time finals champion, five-time champion, three-time MVP, two-time most valuable player for the league, not just the finals, 15-time All-Star game MVP. I mean, the guy, rookie of the year.
Hall of Fame all around.
Yeah, did it all.
You know, I mean, definitely a Hall of Fame career.
He was announced. He was inducted last year on August 29th into the Basketball Hall of Fame. So
I mean, he had the career for it.
He definitely did, and what a way to start that career by being Rookie of the Year, and then 2 years later, Finals MVP. That is a guy who took hold of the leadership role and ran with it. So.
Well, how many times do you see a number one pick do that? You know, okay, let's go to the finals. 2 years later, I win MVP. Not too often.
No, more often you'll see a first round pick, a number one pick in any sport become a bust. So,
I mean, don't get me wrong.
He's the exception, not the rule.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There are some players that actually are number one picks that actually lived up to the hype. Have they won a championship? Years later, they have, but not right away.
Right.
It is rare to find. But hey, it happens. So yeah, that was today in sports, which is kind of interesting. You know, who would have thought on the same exact day 2 years later?
That's crazy. I didn't think of that. That just seeing that in the list of things that happened on June 25th in sports, and then seeing 97, he was drafted first overall. 99, he's the finals MVP. It's like, wow, that I didn't realize that.
Yeah, 2 years to the day. You don't see that at all.
I'm sure Marv Albert was all over that. And Tim Duncan. Yeah, that's a terrible Marv Albert. He's on fire. Yeah, I can't do Tim. I can't do Marv Albert. All right, I'm done. Let's move on.
Oh, jeez.
I gave it a shot.
On to the first period.
And fuego. Okay, I'm done.
Oh, here we go. Little tidbits here. Say that for TikTok.
Yeah.
On to the first period. MLB cracking down on sticky substance with pitchers began on Monday, June 21st. So with that being said, this is interesting how they're really cracking down on this more and more now. They're really looking for stuff. I mean, the picture behind you, the look on his face says it all.
That's just because Scherzer didn't want to show the world his bald spot 3 times in one game.
I do find it fun, though, how he had to do that 3 times.
The first 2 were the umps. The second one was all Girardi. I got I have thoughts on this. We wouldn't be doing this if we didn't have thoughts on it. I wish there was this kind of crackdown when guys were using human growth hormones and roids and whatnot to alter records for home runs.
Yeah, that would be nice if they would have cracked down more on this.
So I kind of look at some of this with the pitchers as gamesmanship.
Basically, it's you're trying to be honest here, and some pitchers aren't.
I would say this is small potatoes compared to the Astros sign stealing and getting a slap on the wrist. Guys like McGuire and Sosa can alter and Bonds can alter records by altering their bodies with genetical stuff, with substances and this and that.
I think they really, with this though, they're pointing at the wrong thing to crack down more on.
Right. It's admirable to some degree. I'm not going to say it isn't. I just think, like you said, it's the wrong thing to go after.
Because here's the thing: when I was reading some of the articles here, the pitchers are being checked at the beginning of the games, which that doesn't mean they can put something on during the game and try to get away with it.
Right.
But also, if they're pulled from the game for any reason, they're checked again. Plus, also, if they get caught, they're ejected from the game and a 10-game suspension. For what, pine tar?
Pine tars are a well-known substance in baseball because the batters are allowed to put it on the bats to get a little better grip on the bat. There's all kinds of things I think about with this. Like I've heard talk about taking the rosin bag away because the sweat and rosin combined can make a sticky substance. What are some of these guys, like in Arizona can get up to 113, if not higher sometimes, and there's going to be guys pitching. You can't tell me they're not going to be having little to no grip on that ball when their hands are drenched in sweat. They need something a little tacky just to be able to hold on to the ball to pitch it correctly.
Oh, yeah, because you throw a pitch and next thing you know, it's in the stands because it slipped out of your hands.
Right. I mean, I don't want to reference Major League, but we all know the scene with
It's
Eddie Harris.
Outside.
I was going to say with Eddie Harris in the locker room of spring training with the Vagisil and the Barbitol and this and that all over him just to get a little extra on the ball. And we've always known that you're not supposed to do it. But the history of baseball is such that there's always been this kind of unwritten gamesmanship, as I want to say, where each team's trying to outdo the other in one way or another, and they're going to try to bend the rules as much as they can. It's kind of one of the quirky things about baseball, that throughout its history, there's always been people kind of nudging past the rules a little bit to gain just a small advantage. And I would say a small advantage is a little bit of sunscreen on the arm, which I can't believe sunscreen on the arm would be considered sticky, but I know it's considered sticky per MLB. That's a whole different world than banging on a trash can to give away someone's sign.
Taking steroids to,
taking steroids
like
and
HGH
to, or corking a bat's a lot of work just to get an extra pop on the ball.
I mean, I do know with corking the bat, some players do it for during batting practice, just for show.
That was Sosa's excuse when he got cut. So
yeah, I did hear like some players did that. That's what I read. People did. Some of the players did just for show, and then they changed to actual bats during the game.
Right.
But they so-called, oh, I forgot to change the bat. Oops. Whatever will I do?
But
yeah, sunscreen. I mean, when looking at some of the the banned substance things, I mean, not just for like sticky substance, but just reading through it, wouldn't it be funny to play a game Like one of the band's names is LSD.
Well, there was a pitcher for the
Really?
Pirates who threw in a no hitter on LSD.
Oh, that had to be interesting. I can only imagine what he was seeing.
Doc Ellis threw an acid-filled no hitter on June 12th, 1970.
Wow. I mean, that had to be interesting. That had to be. I mean,
well, the good thing was there wasn't a lot of colors.
Yeah. As you're throwing the ball, oh, look, the rainbow. Pretty colors.
You know what, though? He got that no-hitter in the history book, so
he did get it.
You can't take it away from him.
He'd do it. I just found it to be interesting, like, but it's just a sticky substance thing. Is like you said, everybody's trying to up somebody else, and it's just find it.
I think that's part of the charm of baseball. Is there's all these unwritten. I don't want to say rules because they're not rules, but they're these unwritten motives and reasons, and it's always been just everyone's always turned a blind eye to it because that's how the game's always been. There's always been this, okay, well, I'm going to do this and see how much I can get away with, I
always find it funny when watching players get caught with something and they're like, what'd I do? And it's like right there on their arm, right there on their hat, or right there in the glove, that you can clearly see something's there. And they're like, what? I didn't do anything wrong. It's like when, you look at your child who just finished writing on the wall. What did you do? It wasn't me. It was the dog.
One of my favorites is Joe Niekro. He was the Twins pitcher at the time. And he was scuffing the ball with an emery board on the mound. And
interesting.
And the umps went to the pitcher's mound. And as they're talking to him, he casually throws it. And one of the umpires sees it and picks it up, and he got tossed. That's one of that's one of the best examples of that situation.
That's funny.
So not altering the ball, but I think it was 1987, the Williamsport Bills, back when they were a AA Eastern League team. They had a guy who was a pitcher. He carved a potato into the shape of a baseball.
Huh? That'd be one nice sized potato. That'd be good for bacon.
Well, hold on 1 second, because I wasn't expecting to go down this road.
Down the rabbit hole.
I'm sorry. He was the catcher. He was the catcher. Dave Brennesahan. He cut he carved it into a potato. And he happened to be catching. Oh, it was against the Reading Phillies of all teams.
That's funny.
So when he caught the ball from the pitcher, he threw the potato to the base to get the runner out on the steal. And here he actually had the ball in his hand. Like, it was this big mess. But yeah, it kind of was the end of his career.
It almost sounds like they're trying to pull off a trick play. Is what they're almost sound like. But
I think that's what it was, and I'm just kind of going off memory of reading about it. So I'm sure someone listening is going to correct me, and I'm okay with that because I'm just pulling it out of thin air tonight.
But a potato.
Yeah, it was a potato. It's if you Google the Great Potato Caper, Williamsport, you'll find some. I think they even have a plaque at Bowman Field commemorating it.
Nice. Here's the potato. Wow. I mean, to actually do a potato like that's just
that is some fine whittling skills. That's what that is.
Yeah.
That dude was a champ at freaking Boy Scouts.
Pretty much. But to sit there and actually take the time to whittle a potato.
Well, it was 1987, and he was in the minor leagues. It's not like he had a tablet to look at during the day and night. I mean,
I'm just gonna whittle a potato. Oh, jeez, that's funny. Oh, back to the subject at hand. With I was also reading where position players can also get tossed.
Oh yeah.
I was reading this, and it said position players can be checked if acting suspicious when they're going to the mound.
Oh, Jesus.
So if they have something, because sometimes throw the ball around, just going to the mound. Well, if they have something, they can actually get tossed too. So they're really looking for any type of a sticky situation. To basically toss players.
Is it to toss players, or is it to have more home runs?
I mean, from what I heard, they said, or not heard, but read that a lot of the batting averages have gone up and things like that. But who knows? Who knows the actual numbers? Because I still yet to find it. But it was funny when I saw that the position players were potentially to be tossed if they are found altering the ball for the pitcher.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, like you said, any team is trying to get ahead of the other one with any type of leverage they can, whether it be trying to cork the bat with nobody knowing, or in this case, sticky substance for the pitcher.
I just think this is the wrong rabbit hole for MLB to go down in terms of cheating and altering and this and that.
Well, yeah, when you have the biggest thing out there with steroids, especially during the McGuire, Sosa, Bonds eras, I mean, that's all they ever did.
Especially when the Astros get a pat on the butt instead of anything.
During World Series, too.
Right.
It's not like it's during a regular season game.
Well, it was during regular season games. I mean,
but they weren't caught though until they hit
after they won the World Series. Yeah.
So, one of those types of things.
I think it's part they want to increase home runs being hit. I think it's part they're now overdoing it to make up for the lack of what they did against the Astros. To me, they're barking up the wrong tree with what they're looking for, but it is what it is. They're
just doing makeup calls. Okay, we messed up here, so we're going to do this now. But
I know.
Let's see what happens. I mean, do they really need to be doing this? I mean, there's a lot of other things in baseball going on.
Do they really need to be doing this midway through the season?
Now, I could see, okay, let's do it at the beginning of the season.
Or just wait until next season to implement it instead of doing it in June, late June, right before the All-Star break. Anyway, okay, I'm done.
I can see this annoys you.
It's not that it annoys me. It's just the logic behind it is flawed.
Is there any logic behind anything?
I don't know anymore.
Especially with MLB,
I don't know
sometimes you really don't know. So on that fun note, that'd be the end of period 1. We'll be right back after this short break.
What's up? My name is Matt Derline, and I'm here to tell you about the 2 podcasts that I host on the Club Kayfabe Creative Communities CKCC Radio. The first is called By the Numbers, where I interview wrestlers whose matches I have refereed in my nearly 20-year independent professional wrestling career. Tune in and hear the stories of the matches and the stories behind the matches themselves. My other show is called The A Show, co-hosted by Chris Decker. Each episode, Chris and I are joined by 1 or 2 special guests, and together we hold a mock draft based on a specific year and wrestling promotion, and then build cards based on our drafted rosters. You, the listener, decide who has the best card by voting on our Twitter poll each episode. You can hear By the Numbers and The A Show Mondays at 9 a.m., alternating weeks on CKCC Radio, wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, welcome back to the second period here. This topic is going to be pretty interesting. The NCAA will compensate athletes per Supreme Court. Interesting.
Yeah, so the ruling will possibly allow student athletes to get educational compensation, which I'm all for. I might run with this for a bit, and I do apologize. This is something I've kind of been on the side of the athletes for a long time. The argument against it has always been, well, these kids get scholarships. Not every player on those teams gets scholarships. You're probably going to have a couple of those players, be it basketball, football, baseball, volleyball, soccer, what have you. Some of them are going to have scholarships, not all of them. Some of those kids are working jobs to pay for their room and board. They might have a tuition covered, but they may not have books. They may not have food. They may not have room and board. So they're hustling. They're working a job. They're playing a sport. They're studying. Educational compensation for the players, I think, is a great thing. To put it into more perspective, especially for the fact that a lot of our listeners are just like us, older millennials, let's talk about the video games. The NCAA has made a mint off of athletes just through video games in our lifetime. I mean, I can think of the 90s. They had Bill Walsh, NCAA football. They had College Slam, NCAA basketball. You had NCAA college football for the EA. You had NCAA basketball from EA. They sell the games on DVD. They have the greatest Penn State games of all time on DVD, making money off of college athletes. That's great. You want to consider these young men and women amateur athletes. Meanwhile, the schools in the NCAA are making millions upon millions of dollars off of these collegiate athletes, which isn't quite fair in my opinion.
No, it's not fair. I mean, if a player can play these sports that they love so much and also get some type of compensation, from what I was reading for all this, it could go towards room and board, computers if they don't have one, to help them with classes, towards their education, towards their tuition. So if that's the case, hey, great. And like you said, some of these players aren't on scholarships. They're just walk-ons.
Right.
And some of these players that play that are just walk-ons, like you said, they're working other jobs. They're doing all this, and they don't have time for anything else, but also they're struggling.
Right.
So any type of help is a big, huge plus.
Not every player is a Montana. Some players are Rudies, Just a quick Google search of NCAA football EA covers. Every cover has a college athlete on it. It's not an actor dressed up as a college athlete. It is an actual college athlete on the cover.
Yeah, I remember those games because I know at one point you could actually do a creative player in it.
Oh, and then take that player over to Madden.
Yeah. So, but still, I mean, the amount of money the NCAA made, like you said, off of video games, off of
jerseys, DVDs.
Oh yeah.
What have you.
And and some of these athletes who play got nothing, even if it was just towards tuition.
And the argument was always, well, these kids are getting an education. They're paying for that education. Not all of them
they're paying it.
Are not all of them have their tuition covered. So yeah, they're getting an education, but they're also going in debt to get that education while playing a sport. Just because Jim Bob Toothy is a defensive lineman and has a scholarship and everything's covered for him doesn't mean that Joe Smith, who's a freaking offensive lineman who just walked on and earned the job or earned the position, has his cover too. And I think it's easy for people to not look that deep at it.
Well, some people don't want to look that deep at it. Some people want to say, well, they're making this much money. The NCAA is making this much. These kids are, that's how they got the scholarships. But nobody's looking at the rest of the team. because I believe each sport has X amount of scholarships they can hand out.
I believe so, yeah.
And let's say, I'm just going to throw a number here. I don't know the actual number, so I'm just going to throw a number out here. Let's say it's 10. Let's just say. Well, what about for the other, for the other players?
And you got to think over half of those 10 are going to whatever the big sport is at that school. Yeah. So if it's a college football school, they're probably getting 7 of those hypothetical 10 scholarships. And then the other 3 get trickled down to maybe basketball or baseball or what have you.
Yeah, it's always the big money makers that gets those scholarships.
Right.
I mean, don't get me wrong. That's how they get people to the college, because that's how they win. They want to, of course, everything's always about winning. You're at a winning college, you're going to get more people there.
Just speaking locally. Penn State, known for football, known for wrestling. They're getting known for hockey.
Yeah.
Known for men's volleyball. So right there's 4 sports. I'm willing to bet 80% of their scholarships go to the football team.
I wouldn't doubt it.
And that's considering the fact that their wrestling team is long considered a great program.
I wouldn't doubt that. I wouldn't doubt that 80% of the scholarships are going to the football team.
And this is all hypothetical. Like, we're just kind of piecing it together here. We're not researching this to get exact numbers. So don't hammer us for this.
The thing is, though, everything, pretty much NCAA, everything revolves around, in my opinion, 2 sports: football and basketball.
Yes,
and that's all the NCAA revolves around. Think how much money is made if a team goes to, let's say, in basketball, the Final Four. Right, there's more money in your pocket. You win national championship, boom, there's more money in your pocket.
But you got to think most of the colleges, like Temple, for example. I mean, that arena's their arena. It's not an arena that the city owns or a private company owns. That's their arena. Or Villanova, their arena's their arena. It's not Dietz and Watson Arena at Villanova. It's Villanova's arena.
Yeah, it's theirs.
So that money, then tickets going back to the school, going back to the NCAA, drinks back to the school, back to the NCAA, and so on and so forth. They're in every corner. There's money going back to these schools and to the NCAA, where I don't think it's going to hurt either one for these young athletes to be compensated in some way, shape, or form. And if it's educational compensation, even better.
Oh, yeah, because I mean, that's education that they're being helped upon. They're getting that assistance, not just student loans that they have to pay back. Either way, they're paying it. These are something like, hey, we're taking 25% off your tuition because you're playing you're playing this sport.
Hey, you don't need to pay for a single meal the rest of the year because of this, or your room and board is covered for the rest of the year because you do this. That might mean one student doesn't have to work at a job. That gives them more time to study, more time to focus on their sport, gives them a better chance at succeeding in college outside of what they already were doing.
Yeah, because a lot of these students aren't going to the pros in that sport. They're just doing it just to do it. They're just doing it because they love the sport that much.
It is such a small percentage of athletes that move on to professional sports from the collegiate realm. I think it seems like to the general public, that a lot of these young men and women move on to the pros in their respective sports, but that's not the case. These kids go right into the work field, or they go on to get a master's degree. I think because the sports are so hyped up, that's the perception, and people don't go any further than the perception. I think this is great. I'm totally for this happening, and kudos to the Supreme Court for ruling in favor of the athletes.
Now, the only thing that I think it has to be ruled as a percentage of what goes to the students, because if they could say, oh, yeah, we'll do the compensation, we'll do all that, here's $1. The NCAA has to be hit with something that X amount of dollars go towards the students, because if they let it up to the school to do it, they're not, they don't want to spend more money than what they have to. So I would think the court has to lay down something to say, I'm just going to throw out a number here, 25%, 30%, something like that. I'm just saying something like that. I'm just throwing numbers here for the school to follow by. Because if they can, if they can regulate their own, they're just going to put whatever they want. They're just going to make whatever they want.
Well, let's see here. A study estimated that if men's basketball and football players in the most prestigious conferences split 50% of the revenue equally, each football player would receive $360,000 per year. Each basketball player would earn nearly $500,000 annually.
Now, keyword there, what you said there's if,
and that's 50%. You can't tell me if you knock that down lower to maybe something that would equal out to maybe $40,000 a year. That would certainly cover tuition, maybe tuition for a year, maybe books for a couple of years, meals for a couple of years. We're not saying let's give these kids money. We're saying, and clearly the Supreme Court is saying, let's put this towards bettering their life in college.
Well, think of this. How much are books? Even used books, because you can trade them in. A big chunk of money.
Let's just say I'm glad that that's covered in my tuition as an adult.
So imagine not having to pay for books in general, not having to pay for books at all through your whole college, semesters.
Right.
I think how much money the student will be saving just on that. Just in books.
Think of how much time they're gaining. Like I said, that for some of these students, they got to work jobs too, just to keep, stay somewhere. Not everyone lives on camp. Not everyone lives in a dorm. Not everyone lives on campus.
A lot of these students get together and get apartments.
Right. So, I mean, to me, this is nothing but an upside. Whether the NCAA wants to accept that or not, it's an upside.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's definitely an upside in general. Absolutely. Just because of what it can do for the students. Definitely help them out in getting that college, the degree that they want. So I feel it's a very good thing for them to do. And hopefully it goes in the students' favor. And not left in the NCAA hands for that.
Oh, and they don't get hosed?
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to see.
Well, on that note, that's the end of period 2. We'll be right back after a short break.
Baseball fans, check out the Baseball Together podcast. Your hosts, Blackjack Brad and Kansas City Little Big Broogie Blue Eyes, present new episodes for the entire baseball family every Tuesday. Available on all your favorite podcast apps and YouTube. Come join our baseball family, where we do baseball together.
All right, welcome back to the third period. I know before we kind of veered off of doing a fun third period topic when we were doing the beard tournament for all those weeks. So it's kind of nice to get back to somewhat normal.
Well, the beard tournament was fun too, and
that was fun.
I'm ready to start another tournament here soon.
Yeah, we definitely we have ideas of what we want to do, so it's going to be interesting to find out what those are.
Yeah.
But for this third period, this conversation is going to be bootleg jerseys. So this could get very interesting on what we have found from our experiences.
So the jersey I'm wearing right now is a bootleg. It is
$5,
$3 at the Green Dragon Flea market, swap shop. I don't know, whatever.
That's funny.
It's Roy Halladay or Holiday. No, it's actually Halladay in the back. I'm joking.
Roy Hallway.
And it's the actual size. So anyway, the reason
jerseys are always interesting to
it's
find.
a crapshoot. It is a legit crapshoot with bootleg jerseys. So it triggered me on this topic. A guy I know through numerous Facebook groups, he posted a picture of a Milwaukee Bears basketball jersey from the movie. And in the comments, people are like, "Where'd you get that? You know, it's great." And he said he got it on Amazon. And I looked on Amazon because I love the movie. And all of them were from out of country. And I'm like, oh, this is sketchy at best. Because I know firsthand how the bootleg jersey situation goes. I have a Chase Utley bootleg that is supposed to be an authentic. It's missing some patches. I bought what was at the time the right size. It didn't fit. It definitely wouldn't fit now because I'm a dad.
Yeah, bootleg jerseys are definitely, like you said, a crapshoot. You don't know what you're going to get. I mean, I remember getting this was for a friend, a Pittsburgh Penguins authentic Lemieux jersey from the Stanley Cup. But
the Stabley Cup?
Yes, the Stabley Cup. I wish I had a picture of it, but it should have had the Stanley Cup patch from that year, but it was the Stabley Cup. So thank God for eBay, and I was able to find the actual Stanley Cup patch, take it somewhere to have that one removed, and this one put on. But yeah, it's like you know the Stabley Cup. You get it. If you order something online from these places, it's a month till you get it, if not more.
If not more. So to me, bootleg jerseys are the guy equivalent to bootleg purses for women. Look, I can say it because I've experienced it firsthand with my wife when we went to New York City. We're going up some like shady stairwell. I swear to God, we were going to get shanked by the little old lady who's taking us up there. And then we go into this room with like holes in the floor, purses galore. That this is the male equivalent to that is bootleg jerseys.
I can only imagine. Hey, come here. Psst, hey, come here. Want a purse?
So when we were at the Senators game, Jonathan, who we met, he outright said, he's like, look, this is a knockoff jersey. He's like, but it's comfortable and I can afford a $28 jersey. I don't think he said 28, but I can afford a cheap jersey. I can't afford a $300 Nike jersey, which is just outrageous.
Well, yeah. Well, let's say, for example, let's just go with hockey jerseys. An authentic jersey is over $200, and that's with no name on them. MLB, you're probably looking at about the same with no name. So, I mean, $200? I mean, that's a bit, don't get me wrong. Some people pay it, but still.
The last two jerseys I bought, and if you're viewers of the show, you've seen me in them plenty. The Saturday Night Special maroon Phillies jersey is a Harper jersey. It's a Majestic jersey, so it was already discounted because they were unloading the dead stock from Majestic because of Nike taking over. I got that for like $50. Then my red one I got for like $30 because the same reason they're just continuing to discount them till they got rid of all the Majestic stock. Before Nike took over the license, those jerseys would have been at least, because they were replicas, at least $150, $200.
And that's just replicas.
And those are replicas, yeah. And let's not even get into the Mitchell and Ness area, which they're supposed to be as close to authentic as possible for that era, which is the same thing that Ebbets Field flannel does for baseball jerseys. And now they're doing hockey ones, as you've seen. I've sent you the links, and NFL. But you're really paying for the Mitchell and Ness name.
Oh yeah, you're paying a name for anything. I mean,
I mean,
Nike and all that. You're just paying for the name.
for what, just looking at the comparison between Mitchell and Ness and Ebbets, and granted, Ebbets doesn't do MLB; they do historical teams. I'd love to say I have a John Kruk jersey. I'm not paying the Mitchell and Ness price for a John Kruk jersey, whereas I would probably consider paying the Ebbets Field flannel price for a Harrisburg Giants jersey, because it's cut in half. I think the reason why bootleg jerseys are popular among sports fans is the price.
Oh yeah, I mean you can afford them. I mean,
Look,
how you go to a sporting store and you look at a jersey, you're looking at the minimum, what, $100, if not more.
Minimum, yeah. Look, I'm wearing one right now. This is that time period, so that we're looking at. I think I got this in 2012, maybe 2011. So it's that era's cool base jersey. It's got the cool base under area here, the breathability. It's the same material. Actually, for a bootleg, I'm impressed it has the stitching inside the logo as the true authentic has, that chain stitching. Because the Phils and the Cardinals, I think, are the only teams who do chain stitching in the logo anymore. So
yeah, was it the Philadelphia Phil?
No, this is actually the Phillies. It does say the
Okay.
Phillies. Everything's spelled correctly. Everything's where it's supposed to be. For a bootleg, for $3, this was beyond a steal, because I knew at the time this was a $200, $300 jersey.
Pottery.
So
yeah, I mean that's a bit, when you can find a gem like that, yeah, you jump on it.
hell, I mean, I just admitted I only bought the 2 jerseys I did buy because they were discounted, because it was the old license brand. I'm sure I'm not the only one.
Oh, I mean, think how much money goes into these bootleg jerseys that you can, that is spent on them. Yeah, you do, like we said earlier, it is a crapshoot, and you don't know what you're getting. Like I said, the Stabley Cup I got, you could get, if you're a Phillies jersey fan, you could get the Philadelphia Phil. You're trying to do a Pacific, let's say a Pacific era jersey, like let's say a World Series jersey. World Series could be spelled wrong,
Right?
Or the patch could be off. It could be on the other side of where it should be, or something like that.
It is definitely a crapshoot.
But when you're paying $20 for a jersey,
You're not going to complain too much. I mean, you're someone, you have a collection.
that's an understatement.
How many are you away from having every team in the NHL?
Well, now that has changed when I have teams that don't exist.
Fair point.
So that has changed.
I forgot.
I have to go through my jersey list. Now, some jerseys I want to get, but I don't want to spend the price for the jersey, because even if I try to do a jersey, like I would love to find a jersey from the early 90s era, basically 93, when Montreal last won the Stanley Cup, and have Patrick Wall on the jersey.
That'd be pretty awesome,
because that he was one of my favorite goalies, and to have that type of jersey, Stanley Cup patch, the whole 9 yards, that was a Stanley Cup jersey, that would probably cost about $200.
That's hard to justify when you're a dad.
Yeah, it is hard to justify. But I do know, because I did get I was able to buy it at the Hockey Hall of Fame back in, I think it was 2005.
2005, I remember.
And it was a Boston Bruins jersey. I was able to buy an authentic for about $100, which at the time, that was
a
cheap.
Steal.
$100 for an authentic jersey, that was cheap. Now, luckily enough, it was money I won when I went to the casino. So, kudos on that one. But I took it to a sporting store one of those memorabilia stores, and they were able to put the lettering that I wanted on, because I ended up putting a Ray Bork jersey all together. Stanley Cup patch. I think I've worn it on the show a couple of times.
You wore it when Matt was on.
Yeah. And I had that all done. Now, don't get me wrong, that probably cost me about $30, give or take. So I spent $130 on an authentic jersey that is basically could pass as a Stanley Cup replica.
Right.
Which is still not bad compared to what those prices would be today. You're looking at a $200 to $250 for an authentic with a name.
Sidebar here. When you took that trip with your brother to the Hockey Hall of Fame in 2005, how many days before did you buy your Jeep?
Not long.
I don't even think it was a week, was it?
It might have been just over a week.
That's a heck of a way to break in a new car.
It might have been just over a week that I got it. And then me and my brother took a road trip. But that was a fun trip to the Hockey Hall of Fame.
I'm sure it was. I'm sure you two had a blast.
If any hockey fans out there want to go there, thinking about going, go. I want to go back.
I'd love to hit the big four Hall of Fames, the National Basketball, the Pro Football, the Hockey, and obviously the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Well, I'm two away from all four, because I've been to the basketball one, because that's actually close to where I believe it's close to where my aunt and uncle live, up in Massachusetts. Okay. So I've been at that one. I've been at the Hockey Hall of Fame. I just got to hit Camden and Cooperstown. And then, boom, I got all four. Matt, I think he's one away. I think he just has to hit Cooperstown.
Okay.
So, but still, I mean, just buying those jerseys are just, you go to, you go to the Hall of Fame, even, a Hall of Fame, let's just say any of them, to buy a jersey, you're looking to spend money.
Real quick, for those not in the know, Matt is David's older brother. I didn't want anyone confused with the Matt we had on the show.
Yeah.
But I had to sidebar there, because I remember it was not very long after you had that Jeep, you took the road trip.
Yeah, it wasn't very long. I think I bought it, like I said, a month or so ahead of time. And it's like, I was, where I worked, I was almost forced to take a vacation, because I didn't take time off. I just worked. I didn't, I really didn't take any time off. And he was like, they were like, you need to take time off. Go. What am I going to do? At the time I still lived at home. I still, and it's like, what the hell? Let's go to Hockey Hall of Fame.
I remember every day you were there, I was getting pictures.
Well, what's funny is we were only there for a day and then came home.
It felt like it was like longer than that.
No, we went up. We hit a Blue Jays game, spent the night, hit the Hall of Fame the next day, and came home.
Really? I don't know why I thought you were up there for like a couple days.
I think that was the plan, but I don't remember. It's,
I just remember you sending me a lot of pictures.
I forget what I did yesterday.
Because that was back in the time when you couldn't talk to people until like 9 o'clock or on weekends.
where you actually had to actually wait for a specific time frame to do anything.
Which I have to say, there's something to be said about how easy it was to text on a flip phone.
Hell, I remember the Nokia, those brick phones.
My first phone was a Nokia. It was a Go phone.
Yep, my first one was a Nokia, where the battery lasted ages and it never broke, despite you could run over it with a car.
I just remember it got to a point where I could drive and text and not even look at the phone, because I knew how many times I had to hit the button to get to the letter I wanted. Now it's like, sure.
To look at it.
Damn autocorrect,
I did not want to say duck.
Oh, what in the duck's going on?
But yeah, no, I think it was only like a month or so after I bought the Jeep that we went to the Hall of Fame.
And it wasn't long after that we closed the dirt road up where you live because we went mudding in the Jeep.
Yeah.
Now that dirt road is grass.
Yeah. It took almost an hour, 2 hours, maybe more, to get everything out from under the car for how caked it was.
That was bad.
It was fun.
Fun, but bad.
It was fun. when you got mud up to the headlight.
I remember the rocks, the size of the rocks coming out from underneath it.
Yeah. And I was like, hey, look at this. And it's like, the size of a fist. Oh, that was bad. That was bad. It was fun, but bad.
It was, but bad. Yeah. Back to the topic at hand.
Gotta love sideboards.
I know a lot of people are anti bootlegs. I'm not, because there's far more people who can't afford a good jersey than there are people who can. I think no one should have to save up to get a jersey of their favorite player. I just think that's not right. So I'm never going to look down on someone who has a bootleg jersey.
No, there's no
I
reason
understand
to.
it.
There's
Well,
no reason
there's
to.
jersey snobs out there, man.
Oh yeah, I mean, there are, and people. And if you're a jersey snob, well, why? I know you want to make it look as authentic as possible. You want to. I mean, I used to be a jersey collector, and trust me, if I'm able to get if it's a bootleg jersey and it looks good, I'll get it. Even if I have to do a little modification myself, like that Penguins jersey I bought. The Stabley Cup needs to be removed.
Lard Stabley's cup.
Yep, exactly.
Lard Stabley's cap.
Right.
Anyway,
just buy a patch. Take it somewhere that does it professionally. Pay a few extra dollars, and boom.
yeah.
Now you have your authentic jersey. That jersey I bought probably cost me $30. The patch probably cost me $10. I still spent less than $50 on the jersey, and it's an authentic Stanley Cup. And it was an authentic Stanley Cup jersey.
Yeah.
So either way, I didn't spend the $250 for an authentic jersey. I just spent maybe a total of all the little small stuff, $50. Okay.
Video games cost more than that now.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, no person should have to fully save $250, $250 for a jersey.
Exactly.
Even if there's not just their player, but their favorite team, for that.
Right. I agree.
And like we always said, it's a crapshoot because you don't know what you're going to get, whether it be size-wise or spelling's wrong or, something like that.
Look, it's why I haven't pulled the trigger on a Crash Davis jersey yet. I want to get it's one of my all-time favorite fictional athletes in a movie is Crash Davis. And I'd love to have a Crash Davis Durham Bulls jersey, just like in the movie. I haven't pulled the trigger because I see where they're coming from on eBay, and I just don't trust the sizes.
I ordered an extra large. Why is this a child's?
But that's I got so lucky that this one was the right size, and here it is 10 years later and it still fits great. I
bought a jersey for me, but it fits my son.
I can't say the same for the Utley jersey I never wore.
That'd be your case. You bought a jersey for yourself, but it fits your son.
That's okay. He can have it.
It's just funny, like you put in XL, but then all of a sudden it's like small XL.
Hey, he had a jersey on today, so
hey, whatever works.
Yeah, I'm a proponent of the jersey too. I have had them. I still have a Victorino one. All these years later.
I think my wife has an Utley one.
I had an Utley one. I wore that out. I have some Schmidt ones.
Yeah, I think she has an Utley one yet. But yeah, I mean, bootleg jerseys. There's yes, like we said, it's a crapshoot, but hey, if it looks good, why not?
We support the cause. We get it. We're dads. We got bills. We got mortgages. We got kids. We understand the need for a bootleg jersey.
Oh yeah. Well, I remember buying this jersey when we went to the baseball game. It was you, Jamie, me, and Holly, and I just bought the jersey. We didn't have kids at that point.
Yeah, but I think that was under. If I remember correctly, it was under 100.
It was.
I still, and I said this to you last time. I could kick myself for not buying that jersey at the Barnstormers game for $5.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because you probably go now and it'd be 30, 50, 60 more.
Well, the whole thing was it was much different for me then. I mean, Jamie and I were just, clerks.
Yeah.
At the time, and that was the summer we didn't get paid. We had payless paydays that summer. So that was a rough summer for us. We legit didn't get an actual paycheck until the day before our wedding.
Craziness.
Well, that's budget impasses. That's what happens, you got to deal with it.
Right. So on that note, that'd be the end of period 3.
Go get your bootleg jerseys now.
There you go. Good luck on finding something that's good. Like I said, it's a lottery.
I think because of eBay standards, it's gotten a lot better. There's some I'm watching right now. There's definitely some 90s basketball ones I'm looking at, like a Barkley and a Rodman and so on. Maybe I'll have to add a Tim Duncan now to this list. I don't know. I should get a Team USA one for the Olympics coming up. But
gee, somebody saying USA at somebody's wedding.
USA. You know what? You did me a favor. I would have balled up there. I'm going to get a Larry Bird jersey.
By the way, I don't even know why I was saying that.
I think it was just to get me to not think about how beautiful my wife looked coming up to the altar and her. Yeah. Anyway, I'm a sucker. I'm a romantic at heart. You guys don't hear it, but I am.
That's right, Jacob.
That's right.
Now, for those who don't know, the pastor was calling him Jacob instead of Jason.
Hey, you know what? It is what it is. She got it right when it mattered. So, that said, let's get to quick plugs for those who don't have ads. Shout out to Adam Van and Joe Sposto, the hosts of At Odds with Wrestling. You can find them wherever you get your podcast. Join them weekly for lots of fun banter about pro wrestling. Joe was the winner of the A-Show Season 1 Tournament of Champions, which to me was no surprise. You can catch me every month on the Philly Baseball Together podcast, typically with my co-host Tori. Just recorded on Wednesday. He was not feeling well, so I do have a guest co-host on this month. We kind of just pretty much talk about where the Phil season is at this moment in time. You can find that'll post on July 1st under the Baseball Together Podcast Network umbrella, and that you can also find wherever you get your podcasts. With that, deep breath. Thank you for joining us for episode 23 of the Not Another Sports Podcast. You can find us online at facebook.com/NotAnotherSportsPod. You can find us on Instagram at NASPod20, TikTok at NASPod20, Twitter at Not Another Sport 1, and YouTube, just search the Not Another Sports Podcast. You can find the Not Another Sports Podcast on your streaming networks like Anchor.fm, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Podcast Addict, and wherever else you get your podcasts. Please remember to subscribe, rate, and review. That helps us out immensely. With that, I'm Jason.
I'm David.
Talk to you next time.
Have a good one.